Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we are finally going to be reviewing the all-new Land Rover Range Rover SV. But before we get in this video, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in Lehi, Utah for giving me some time with this SV. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Jordan, and he can also let you know if you are in their sales range, because if you do not know, they do not charge any markups over MSRP on any vehicles whatsoever. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 4.4 liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 16 around town, and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 523 horsepower and then 553 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood here, you guys can see, well, pretty simplistic with the design. It's flat in the center and then kind of raised on either side. Now, quick look at some of the elements. You guys can see the blacked out Range Rover logo, Land Rover down below, and then look at the lights, how they're pretty flush with the body work, and then you can see there's parking sensors down below, and then look at the coloration on the trim. I think that looks cool. And putting it all together, it just looks kind of like an evolution of the previous version, which is not bad because it's good looking. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 285/40/23 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see how you've got the giant Brembo brake caliper painted in red and pretty big brake rotors as well. Also, I love the coloration on these wheels. I think it looks really cool. And then notice how it says Land Rover in the center. Now notice how the fenders are molded, pretty cool. And then you guys can see the little accent piece here, and it says SV there at the bottom. And then you guys will see some factory wrappings on it, but pretty much everything's been blacked out on this one. Now we're actually on the passenger side because it has slightly fewer wrappings on it, but you guys can see the full side view on this. It looks so cool. So here's our key fob. Notice it has the SV logo there on the back, and then on the front you guys can see we've got our unlock function or lock function. That is to turn on the headlights, and then we can hold this and it'll open up the rear hatch and the bottom portion. Now actually popping inside, there's tons of storage space here in the back of the full-size Land Rover. That's one of the big benefits of this. And then you guys can see there's a bunch of functions here. So you've got one function for the cargo cover to pull it backwards and forwards. You've got that function for the seats to lower them down. And then you guys can see here for the suspension to raise and lower, and then more seat controls down below that. So quite a bit, but it's all on one little switch panel, which makes things easy. Now, if you just want to close the tailgate for some reason, you can press that button right there and that'll close it. And then if you want to close the hatch, then press that. If you press that button with the tailgate still open, it'll close both of them at the same time. Now we have the super cool minimalist taillights here in the back of the SV. And then you guys can see you've got this like blacked out bar here with the Range Rover logo. And then you probably saw the SV logo down below. And then you do have parking sensors there at the bottom. And then the exhaust tips are kind of hidden at the very bottom. And putting it all together, the SV looks so good. Like, you have some trim pieces that kind of are not blacked out that, you know, nicely accent it, but most part, it's mostly blacked out and it looks good. Of course, we got the pop-out door handles. So there's actually quite a bit happening on the door panel. First off, this is the premium non-leather interior. First time seeing it, and I really like it. It actually smells really nice. That's kind of weird, but it's true. And then it looks like real leather. And then you guys can see here, we've got nice wood trim that's recessed on the door panel. Memory seat functionality with the power seats. And then here's the window control. Notice how I can do both at the same time for the windows, which is kind of, I don't know, I think a cool feature. Got light controls, sunshade controls, all that. And yeah, notice how everything's like covered in nice materials on the door panel. So this does also have soft closed doors, so there you go. Now the driver's seat is leaned really far back, so this camera angle is kind of awkward, but I have my own screen back here, and so does the passenger as well. And so it looks like this is pretty much like a secondary infotainment screen. I mean, you guys can see all of the different things on it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, if you got kids, they've basically got their own little tablet here in the back. And then down below, you guys can see we've got our controls for the climate system. So we do have dual zone climate back here, and we have not only heated seats, but we also have air conditioned seats here in the back, which is definitely a nice luxury feature. And then some vents there at the top. And then there's a little charging port down below. Something I want to mention is look at like the cloth trim here on the back of the seat. That's pretty interesting. And then I want to talk about these seats themselves. So notice that we have like the airplane style headrest, which will wrap around your head, which is pretty cool. And then you guys can see really nice perforated non-leather, right? All down the center. And then you guys can see you've got little tag there to let you know this is the premium non-leather interior. And whoa, this is the future, people. Or this is luxury. It's just slow lowering down. That is so cool. Wow. Now, first off, this is kind of like a center console, so storage space inside. And then this screen right here controls quite a bit. So like I can go into the seat tab and I've got massaging seats here in the back, which is really cool. And then you guys can see this little cup icon. Well, if I press that, there we go. This will pop forward very slowly. Look at the nice wood trim on top of it, by the way. And then you have this little tab right here. And there's the cup holders. And then you can press this again to bring it back. And then this button right here is what actually like brings it back up. But we have to have the cup holder thing back in place, which now it's going in the wrong direction. I'll be back to you guys in a second. Okay, so now this should work. Yep, it's going back up. You guys can imagine the rest. And of course, for those of you wondering, it's very spacious back here. Currently I have the seat and recline function and could basically take a nap. Now here is the front door panel. You guys can see we have obviously the whole plastic covering situation because it's just arrived, but again, same basic setup as what you have in the rear. Notice again, we've got like the memory seat function there on the seat adjustment itself. All of the window controls here for the front, mirror adjustments. The mirrors do power fold in, and they also have blind spot monitoring. And let me know what you guys think about the color combo there. So we kind of have a cover on the driver's seat, so I'm going to show you guys the passenger seat over there. And notice how the coloration here at the front seats is actually different than the rear. The rear is that like darker gray, whereas this is more of like a creamy white color, if that makes sense. But again, premium non-leather. And then notice how it says Range Rover SV. And then you guys can see the pedal layout, and look at the carpeting all around. It's kind of nice and plush. And then you guys can see for the hatch opening, and then everything is padded all throughout. Now the steering wheel obviously has a cover from Transport, but you guys can see it has that same two-tone design that's all throughout the rest of the interior. Two-spoke design as well, two-spoke, two-tone, wow. Paddle shifters there on the back. This does come with stuff like adaptive cruise control. You got controls for the center stack, and yeah, nice stitching and everything. And again, you can't tell that this is not real leather. And then we have the full digital gauge cluster here, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. My favorite function on this is how you can change the display layout. So like right now it's on focus, but then we can change it to be like a full map view, for example. And I don't know, I just think that it looks cool. Let's see what the dial version looks like. Wow. Yeah, that's nice. Now in reverse, you guys can see we have a backup camera, which trajectory lines do turn with the steering wheel. And then we have that bird's eye view. And by the way, it does fill in as you drive forwards and backwards so that you can see underneath the vehicle. And then notice we have our off-road view. I forgot I have to like click in. Notice this has a center locker as well as a rear locker, which is pretty cool. And then you got the towing mode as well. So tons of different cool camera views. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, it does have a shortcut bar here on the side. Overall response time with the screen is great. And well, since it's Land Rover, it shows us like our elevation and everything here in the center. I'm not so sure about this like mouse clicky thing. You can turn it off if you want, I'm pretty sure. So that might be something that people would want to do. But yeah, overall cool. And you guys can see here at the front seats, notice that they are heated and cooled just like the back, and then also massaging as well. And then down below, you guys can see here with the climate controls. So first off, if I press it in, this is for the seats to turn on the heated or cooled function. Pull it out, and then that'll go to the fan speed, and then push again, and then that'll let me change the temperature. That's just your shortcut button for the seats. And again, very minimalist with the design. Now I've got really nice wood trim here, and then you can see plenty of storage space. And that's your wireless phone charging pad right there. And then if you press this again, then it'll cover it up. Now here's the shifter. This is the thing that I'm not so sure about. So obviously normal Land Rover shifters have leather on it. This doesn't. It just kind of has this weird like glossy looking material that it's not, I don't know, almost kind of, it's not plastic, but kind of feels plasticky. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too critical on it. But anyways, stop start button right next to that, volume control, and then this is your drive mode select, and then you guys can see hill descent control, and then your low range. And speaking of drive modes, we have quite a few. So we have an eco, dynamic, and then you guys can see comfort, grass, gravel, snow, mud ruts, sand, rock crawl, wade, and then your configurable mode. And then if you press it in, then that's just your auto. So we got some cup holder action here, and then we have our center console, which does contain a refrigerator. And let's see if I can get it closed the first time this time. Okay, there we go. I didn't want to close the last time. Anyways, we have our bottom glove box nicely lined with felt, and then you can see like the wood trim just up above that. And then we have our top glove box here that you pull back, again, also nicely lined with felt. And again, I love like the trim all over. Like it looks just as nice as any other Land Rover. And then here is our mirror. It obviously has the camera mirror function on it. And then we have controls here for the sunroof. This does have a full panoramic sunroof. And again, since it's an SV, normally you have a leather stitch headliner, but this one has the premium non-leather headliner. So you still have like the nice stitching and everything, but it's just not leather. But I mean, it pretty much is the same. So here's a window sticker for this SV, and this is a short wheelbase. You guys can see the standard equipment, and you'll notice that it says that it has air suspension as standard. I didn't really talk about it too much, but you can see here on the screen, you can actually adjust the air suspension. Notice you have an access, normal, and then your off-road mode with the different heights. But anyways, those LEDs are called pixel LED headlights. That's pretty interesting. But notice you got a 4-year, 50,000 mile new vehicle warranty. Base MSRP on the SV, $193,100. Now you do have some options, including those 23-inch wheels, which are $3,700. It looks like going for the non-leather interior doesn't cost any money. It's a $0 option. So if you like this interior, then you don't have to pay any extra for it. Total MSRP, $206,280. So that's gonna sum things up with our video on this SV, and I cannot wait to review the SV autobiography because this thing's already crazy with the features. I can't imagine one that costs like $50,000 more than this. Like, what's that $50,000 actually going to get you at this point? But anyways, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in Lehi, Utah for giving me some time with this SV. Check out their info in the description down below. Ask for Jordan. I'll see ya.